I think I just filmed my entire last video, and I think my sound recording wasn't even on. So you might get some really, I don't know. That one's getting uploaded before this one, so I guess. Welcome back to After Evenfall, a channel all about inspiring you to embark on adventures from home. My name is Bailey, and today we are continuing with my Top 100 series. We are going to be I'm going to be going through, I ran down my stairs and now I can't breathe. I'm going to be going through games 70 through 61 today, and I'm super excited to get into it. So let's go ahead and take a start. Go ahead and take your starting position. I don't know. Anyway. Let's go ahead and start. All right, I had it uploaded have it pulled up on my computer, so you're gonna have to bear with me for a second. Now, number 70. So number 70 on my list is a game called Carcassonne. Now, this is an oldie but a goodie. It's a tile drafting and placement game where there's a collective area out in front of you, and you are taking a tile and putting it out, attaching it to another tile that's already been placed on the board. Tiles can have roads, tiles could potentially have castles, they could have monasteries out on them, and you have the option with your little meeple to place them out on the road to score 2 points for each completed road section when the road is eventually completed. Or you can place it on a castle, and then when the castle's finally completed, you get 2 points for each of the castle pieces, unless there's a shield on it, and then you get 4 points. You can lay it out and be a farmer, and then you get a certain amount of points per castle that farmer is attached to at the end of the game, but that's a little bit area control. It's only if you have the most farmers in that region. And then there's also a monastery, where if you put a guy on your monastery and you can complete a whole square around your monastery, then you get 9 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I think you get 9 points or 8 points. Anyway, it's a really easy game to teach. There are a million expansions to this game, I swear. I have only played the Dragon and the Princess expansion. My mom loves that one. She's got the volcano tile, everything. She loves her Carcassonne. And so we have played this a ton. This is one that I grew up on as well. I have played this almost more than any other game. Maybe this one and Settlers of Catan and probably Castles of Burgundy. I'd say I've played probably the most. And Rook. And Wizard. Played a lot of Wizard. Anyway, Carcassonne's up there with Ticket to Ride, all the rest of them. And yeah, we love it. And that's Carcassonne. So number 69 on my list is a game that I just learned a few months ago. And this is a cute little abstract game. This is called Umbrella. Now, an umbrella, there are a bunch of umbrellas set out in front of you in 3 different drafting pools. There's a central drafting pool, and then there are 2 on either side of that one. And then on your board directly in front of you, you have a 4x4 grid. And you will be drafting tiles off of one of these 3 piles. And depending on where you've drafted the umbrella from, you can put it on your board and slide it in. So if I've taken it from the right side, I have to put it on the right side of my board, and I push it in, and it pushes off another umbrella, and that other umbrella goes out on the board, or goes out back into the drafting pool. You're trying to make certain shapes happen. There are yellow, green, blue, and red umbrellas, and once you've made a certain shape, depending on what you have at the top of your board, you'll have 3 little tiles that give you objectives. You will make that shape, and then you get to take that tile and give it to your opponent, and you have these little dots on your board that you're trying to cover up. Anyway, it's a super fun little game. I like it a lot. It's one of my more favorite abstract strategy games. It's kind of a replacement for Azul for me. If you like Azul, I would highly recommend playing this one to you. I think it's not better than Azul because they're kind of hard to directly compare, but it falls in that family of games, and so yeah, that's one that I would recommend to you. And that is Umbrella. I have the worst canker sore in my mouth, so if I'm spitting everywhere, that's why. My mouth is all swollen. I can't talk properly either, so bear with me. All right, number 68 on my list. This one is another new to me game. I actually backed this one almost a little more than a year ago, I think. And it came to me in the mail in October, and that is Kelp. Now, Kelp is a 2-player game where one person is playing as the octopus and one person is playing as the shark. Now, I'm going to say ahead of time, I have only ever played as the octopus. My husband plays as the shark because I am too lazy to figure out how to play the shark. I would much rather just play what I already know how to play. That, and I like hiding, and I like the trickery of like trying to say it. Anyway, in this game, as the octopus, you have like a tile with an octopus on it that is flipped up so only you can see what is on all of the tiles out in front of you. And you will be moving your octopus around trying to keep it hidden from the shark. The shark is trying to find the octopus and attack the octopus and ultimately eat the octopus. And the octopus has kind of 2 objectives. It's either to stall so long and keep the shark occupied for so long and keep him like misdirected for so long that he wastes his entire game and then the game is over after a certain number of rounds. Or the octopus can aim to try to eat 4 crustaceans in order to win the game. And once he's eaten. But eating a crustacean or eating the food requires you to reveal kind of where the octopus is, and then you have to like hide it again. And if someone's really observant, it's really hard, or it's really easy for them to keep track of the octopus. However, if you look away for like 2 seconds when someone takes their turn, it makes it really hard to keep track of where everything went. The octopus is kind of a deck builder as well. There are a few cards that you can build off of throughout the game or build into your deck. And then once you've run out of your deck, you reshuffle, you draw more cards, you play those cards, put them in the discard. I really like this game. The only critique I would have to say of it really is that it can be kind of punishing for the shark player. It's one of those games where if both people aren't having fun, it's not going to be fun at all. I did have one game with my husband where he knew exactly where the octopus was, and then he forgot for 1 turn. And I moved, and then I just kept moving everything but the octopus. And he kept thinking that I was moving it all around the board, and he was getting pretty frustrated. And that game did not end super well. But for the other games that we played, it has ended well. So, and we have had a good time. It was just that one where he was kind of mad at himself for not remembering where I went. Anyway, and then it wasn't fun for me. I don't really like games like that. But this game overall, we have had a bunch of good experiences with as well. You just have to be, I think, watchful of who you're playing it with. And that is Kelp. So my next game is another old game. Very old. And some might argue that it's probably really boring, but I really love it. And for number 67, I have Rummikub. Now, Rummikub is another little tile drafting placement game, or tile drafting game, where you have these numbered tiles, and they also have colors to them. And you're trying to get rid of all the tiles in front of you. In order to get rid of the tiles, it's kind of like phase 10, where if you have 3 threes, you place them out, and then you've gotten rid of those tiles. And then if you have like a run, you can place a run out, and you have to try to keep building off of that, or you can build off of one that someone else has played in an effort to try to run out of all your tiles and stick everyone else with theirs. It's a really easy game to teach. I really enjoy it. I like it better than Sets and Runs. I don't know. I have something against card games. I know no one else is going to agree with me because I think a lot of people really enjoy card games. I think they're fine. My preference is usually a board game. And that is Rummikub. So my next game is game number 66, and that is Dominion. Now, Dominion is a classic deck building game. I know for a lot of people, it's like their intro to deck building games. It has a bunch of expansions to it. I only have the base game. I have only played the base game, so you're going to have to bear with me on that. In this game, it's literally a deck builder. So you start out with a certain deck. You'll start out with a certain amount of money. You'll start out with a certain amount of other cards, depending on how you've laid out, or depending on what cards you've decided to play with for that game, because it does come with a bunch of different cards, so you can have different setups. You can have like a thief, you can have, I think, a witch, or there's like moats. Moats are my favorite. Stock up on the moats and you'll win. I'm just saying. Anyway, so you've got like this set hand, and then you are buying cards throughout the game to add to your deck in an attempt to get enough money that you can start buying like the high point value cards, which are laid out at the top. And then once a certain deck is out, then the game is over. And then you'll go through your deck and you'll score however many point cards you have in the deck. So if you have like 1 point or to 3 points, anyway, you'll score all of those. Whoever has the most points wins. Which is kind of fun because I don't know a bunch of other deck builders where you're actually scoring your deck itself, most of the time I feel like you're using your deck to play the game and then score other things in the game, but this one is like you're scoring off your deck that you've collected, and I really enjoy it, and that is Dominion. Now, the game I have next is, for number 65, a little tile drafting and placement game, and this is Miyabi. So Miyabi is a light abstract game where you are drafting these tiles and you have a board out in front of you and you are placing them on the board. Each tile will have a certain symbol on it. It'll be like a bush, or it'll be a pond, or it could be, it's not a pagoda, flower or tree, I don't know. Anyway, there are a bunch of different symbols, and they line up with symbols that are listed on the ends of the rows. So if I draw a green bush, it has to go, the green bush in particular, that square of the polyomino has to go in the green bush section. There are also columns, and the columns all have, I want to say those are pagodas on top of them. And so once you've placed this green tile down in a column, and then once you've placed in all of the rows, you'll move your pagodas back onto the board. Or actually, sorry. As you place each of the tiles out, a pagoda goes off the board. And then you can't play in that row. You have to keep building off the other rows. And then once everyone has put a tile piece down in each of their columns, the round is over, and then you put them all back on, you reset, you go back to the next round. You will score points based off of those items that you've placed down and how tall they are. You can stack these polyominoes up to 5 tall, and if you're the first person to get a 5 tall polyomino of a certain symbol, you can get extra points based at the end of the game for that. It's a really easy teach, a really light game. I would classify it as a lullaby game, and that is Miyabi. So my next game, I have a history with, shall I say. So this game, I've alluded to it 5 million times in the videos beforehand. This game I used to hate, and this game, so fun fact about me, I hated board games, like Fiery Burning Passion, hated them until I was in college. My mom was addicted to this game in particular, and she would make us play it with her when she grounded us. And that was like our punishment, was to play a game with her. And she would play this game all the time. It was every time family came over, every time anyone came into town. And I've probably played thousands of rounds of this game. And that is Settlers of Catan. I am guilty, actually, at one point of even hating this game so much that I took it, and we had like kitchen cabinets, and the kitchen cabinets had like crown molding around them, but there was a gap between the crown molding and the ceiling. And I got so sick and tired of my mom always having us play this game, because it was like you get home from school, you play 3 rounds of Catan. And we don't call it Catan, we call it Settlers. So you play like 3 rounds of Settlers. We played it all the time. Anyway, I got so fed up with it that I actually took the game and I shoved it between the cabinet and the ceiling. But because of that ledge, you couldn't see that it was there. And I left it there for like months, like six to 10 months, somewhere in there. And my mom would get so frustrated. She's like, I can't find my game anywhere. Does anyone know where it was? And the funniest part about it is that I forgot that I hid it. So we would search around the house, and me and my mom, and I could not find this game anywhere the whole entire time. And then it took like months and months and months, and it hit me. I was like, oh, it was when I had like my aunt there or something, and I walk of shame, like climb up on our countertop and like reach up and pull this stupid game down while my mom's looking, and my mom was livid. She almost went and bought a whole second Settlers of Catan game just because she couldn't find hers, and that was like her favorite game ever. But I think a part of her always knew that I hid it, because she would say stuff like this. I know you hid it, Bailey. I know you hid it. Where did you put it? And I was like, I don't know, Mom. But really, I did hide it, and I had just forgotten. Anyway, long story. I know it's super stupid. That's my little, like, petty. I did hate board games. I don't anymore. We played a lot in college, and that got me right back into it. And then a lot of other things have happened since then. We had babies, and so it meant that we played a lot more games. Anyway, Settlers of Catan. So, Settlers of Catan is a little kind of area control resource management game where you are building out. You start with 2 settlements on the board, dice are rolled, and those dice will indicate the number that you get to draw more resources from. So if I have a settlement on like a sheep and a wood hexagon, and the wood has a 10 on it, and I've rolled a 10, I get wood that round. And you use your cards to buy more things. A road is like a wood and a brick. A settlement is a wood, a brick, a wheat, and a sheep. Or a city is 2 wheat and 3 3 settlements. You have to place the city on a settlement, but a city is 2 wheat and 3 ore. And throughout the game, you're just kind of building up your city. It's a race to 10 points. You can get 2 points for having longest road, 2 points for having longest army. And it's one I'm pretty sure most people have heard of and played before. But I love it so much still. Now, it's one of those games that it has like the nostalgia. It's like when you've watched a TV show so many times as a kid that you were sick of it, and then you went like 10 years without watching it, and then you watched the TV show or the movie again, and you're like, oh, I miss this. Like, that's how I feel when I play Settlers of Catan. It's one of my favorites, and that is Settlers of Catan. All right, so my next game, my mom, by the way, she's going to be livid that I had Settlers of Catan so low on my list, that it's number 64, because for her, I'll tell you right now, Settlers of Catan is still to this day her number one. She has played hundreds of games with me at this point now, and she still loves Settlers of Catan the most. So she's going to give me crap because in my other videos, she calls me, and after she's watched them, and she's like, you put this one in the wrong spot. She was so mad. What was the game that she was really mad about the other day? Oh, I gotta search and find it. She was mad that I put Yak at 97. She was so mad. She called me and she's like, that's the dumbest thing ever. I like Yak more than that. I think that Yak deserves to be higher than that. I was like, Mom, I'm making a video of the games I like. The games I like. I like the other game. I was like, I like Tinderblocks more than Yak. And she's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Tinderblocks is a stupid game compared to Yak. And anyway, so anything that you guys might say to me about my list and how dumb it is, I promise you I'm hearing it from my mom. Anyway, that's like her favorite pastime. I didn't mean to scare you awake. I'm sorry. All right, so my next game is game number 63, and this game is Sagrada. Now, Sagrada is an abstract dice game where you have like a set you have colors and numbers that are out in front of you on this little grid, and you are rolling die, and then the die are all placed in a collective pool, and you're drafting from those dice and putting them out onto your board, and you're trying as hard as you can to minimize the amount of empty spaces you have by the end of the game because those are worth negative points. And then there are also a few objectives sometimes that there are a few objectives that you're trying to reach as well. Sometimes it's like a personal objective where you're trying to have like the most green or the most red out of everyone. Overall, it's a super fun game. This is another one that I would recommend to Azul players. It's very beautiful and very bright. I love the dice, and I love the stained glass element when you're done with the die and you have them all on the board. It looks like a stained glass window. And that is Sagrada. I went on like a forever long rant about Catan. I am so sorry. That's going to take up like a huge chunk of my video. All right, number 62 is a cute little game. I love the cover of this game. It's one that is almost always facing out on my shelf, and that is Tiny Towns. Now, Tiny Towns is kind of like a resource placement game where this is another grid one where you have a grid out in front of you. It's kind of an abstract strategy a little bit. And each turn, one person calls out a resource. You take that resource, you put it out on your board. And then you have cards in your hand that are buildings that you're trying to make those shape on the board with your resources. Your board is a grid. So if I take like an orange one and I put it here, a blue one here, a brown one here, maybe those 3 shapes in that specific those 3 cubes in that specific shape might allow me to build a certain type of building. Buildings are worth specific points at the end of the game depending on how many other buildings that you have or placement of other buildings. It's very cute and very fun, and that is Tiny Towns. So my last game for today is a really beautiful game, and this is Tokaido. And I would classify this one, heads up, as a lullaby game. Totally a lullaby game. And Tokaido is this very zen, chill game where there's this beautiful little linear board out in front of you. Whoever is in last place moves first, and they can move as far up on the track as they want. And they will go to a space. It's kind of got a set collection element to it and each of these spaces does something different. One of them, like a farm, gives you 3 coins. There are some other spaces that allow you to take panoramic photos, and if you can collect all of them at the end of the game, you get points for them. There are like souvenirs that you can collect throughout the game. And it's just this really beautiful game. If you have ever played Parks, I would almost say you could have one or the other. And I know people are going to beat me up for that, but they're very similar gameplay. Takedo is more set collection, and Parks is more you're trying to gain points, I want to say, or Parks. I don't know. Anyway, you could almost have one or the other because they do play very similarly, but they look very different. And that is Takedo. So that is all the games on my list today. Yeah, I got all the way through into 61, so we'll do 60 through 51 next time. I am super excited to share this with you guys. Thank you again for watching. If you liked what you saw today, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell to get notifications when we upload new content. Don't forget, I am an affiliate of Harbor Loot. I think I said Harbor Link in another video, and what I meant is Harbor Loot. I am an affiliate of Harbor Loot. You can go ahead and check my link in the description to be sent to their page. They have a lot of really fun goodies like dice trays. They do the dice stacking thing. This is one of theirs right here. It's super fun. I haven't I always try to put that. Anyway, they have a bunch of super fun stuff. Their stuff is really high quality, so I would highly recommend it. I love their dice trays in particular because they have slanted outside so that you can see, you don't have to unpop any pieces to be able to see your die. Especially if you have a raised table like I do and you don't have a board game table, dice trays can be really nice to have. They keep it a little bit quieter, which for me is nice because I get overstimulated. Anyway, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and don't forget, Anyway, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you again here in the After Evenfall community.